We start at Marvel Stadium tonight, where football fans around the country were daring to dream as the seconds tick down in the third quarter. Could 18th place West Coast cause the boil-over of the season? But a late dump kick out landed in the hands of Dan Houston. He bombed one in trademark style from outside 50, and that started a run-on for the Pies, which ended those hopes for West Coast.
It certainly did. Collingwood ended up 29-point winners, but that clip from the last part where Dan Houston ended up kicking that goal right on the stroke of three-quarter time, it was a little bit of the tail of the tape for the West Coast Eagles. The moment in which they could ill afford to make mistakes, they ended up either fumbling or missing a really important tackle or doing that, turning the ball straight over to a Collingwood player. They were able to pounce. So you just felt little mistakes that they made throughout the night. Did let Collingwood off the hook at times, but you'd be pretty happy as a West Coast Eagle fan watching their pressure, their ability to pressure the Collingwood Magpies, and little efforts like this we saw all throughout the night, really, Xander. Their pressure, they were up for the fight. They made Collingwood work hard for it, and they did. They're 18th, Collingwood are first, and they pushed them all the way. And I think you could be nothing but sort of impressed by the standards that they set for themselves tonight, and were able to, when you're coming up against a team that is first on the ladder, and you're where West Coast are, this is the one non-negotiable that you've got, that's pressure, and they executed that tonight.
Now, this is a side that's won one game so far this season. You look at this effort, and you do mention the missed opportunities, and with a young side, you expect that. But you would expect them to win more than, maybe one or two games for the rest of the season with the effort that they showed.
Yeah, certainly, and that has to be a sort of a benchmark for them now. That anything less than that pressure, we'll talk about North Melbourne in a minute, but their ability to not sustain that pressure week in, week out is shown. And as a team that's down the bottom of the ladder, that is the one thing you need to bring week in, week out.
Beyond effort, it looks like they've found a budding star in Tom McCarthy, the number one pick in the mid-season draft, who has exploded onto the scene in his first two games of AFL footy.
Yeah, well, he had 31 on debut against Carlton pre-bye, and then he came out this evening, had another 29 disposals, 19 of those uncontested, and 639 metres gained. But he just looks so comfortable at the level. He looks comfortable with ball in hand, his ability to use it. That kick there was very much like a Bailey Dale kick coming out of the halfback. So is that one. So his confidence, his ability with ball in hand to pick the right target, I've been nothing but impressed by him, and two of the better games to the start of a career for any player.
Not bad to be likened to Bailey Dale after your second game, is it? A quick talking point out of this one, and it revolves around the holding the ball interpretation, which has been such a big talking point all through the year. We have a look at this vision where Ned Long was taken to task, did about a 720, wasn't pinged for any sort of holding the ball opportunity. The ball goes straight to Liam Duggan. He's pinned straight away, one arm unavailable to handball the footy off, and he is pinged by the umpire for holding the ball. Now, this isn't to attack the umpires here, but it just goes to show how complex the interpretation of holding the ball is. And it's fast becoming one of the key issues that Greg Swan is going to have to address when he gets back from the UK in the coming weeks and starts his job here at AFL House. But it's tough for the umpires, this interpretation, isn't it, Kate?
It is, because technically both... I struggle with the first one not being holding the ball. I think that went on for a little bit too long. But the second one, for just the start comparison in 10 seconds of play, where a player's taken on two or three opponents, eventually does get a handball out, and then someone takes possession, but because they've got one arm pinged, they need to be able to either drop it on the boot or get rid of it in a way that's a correct disposal to then be pinged. I think the start comparisons are pretty telling in that clip.